Find out why the IRS is still having problems processing stimulus checks after all this time, how the recent rounds of disaster relief stimulus funds have helped boost the average credit score of Americans to a 13-year high, and the great news of a new disaster relief proposal that would offer $5,000 in a fourth stimulus check to deserving citizens. The craziness, the IRS is still having issues processing tax refunds and delivering vital disaster relief stimulus funds to Americans in need of fiscal support. We've talked about it, the math here, right? We've covered it before. Issued impacting millions of Americans and their stimulus check. And now, financial and tax experts are voicing their concerns about the IRS getting their stimulus in the bank accounts to deserving U.S. citizens. Yeah, how about you got a letter of air rather than your check, right? Could have just sent you a check. Dan Herron, a CFP, certified financial planner, and a CPA, certified public accountant with Elementary Wealth Advisors, explains, quote, "One of the biggest issues we're having is the reconciliation of stimulus. The IRS is sending out balances due notices with no calculation or explanation analysis," end quote. It's pretty scary, right? The IRS stated recently that, quote, "It's correcting significantly more errors on tax returns than in previous years and will send taxpayers an explanation in the coming days," end quote. Hopefully the IRS can get their ducks in a row and finally pay out these vital stimulus to Americans that are in need and have been waiting for months to receive their important disaster relief funds. You're not alone. I've seen it in the comments. It's happened, it's happening, and it's probably going to happen, but they're every day trying to get it. So I hope you get your check real soon, or at least maybe an explanation, although you'd rather have the check. Meanwhile, according to Experian annual state credit report, the 12th annual state credit report, the average credit score for Americans has continued to climb to a 13-year high, thanks in large parts to the third round of stimulus checks. Not just the first round, not just the second, but like in UFC, the third round to knock out those debts, right? Their report found that, quote, Vantage score climbed from 688 in 2020 to 695 in 2021, 15 points. And the medium Vantage score climbed to 697 in 2020 and 701 in 2021. In 2020 was 697. 701 in 2021. Operational Hope found that states with the highest credit scores include, drum roll please, Minnesota with the highest credit score with the average of 726, followed by none other than Bernie State, Vermont at 719, and New Hampshire coming in third at 718. How'd your state do in regards to this? Are you up there? Are you in Minnesota with a smoking 726 score? Operational Hope founder and CEO John Hope Brandt explained, I wonder why they called it Hope, right? If his middle name was Hope. So consumers on the average are managing their credit score history well by helping people raise their credit score. I cracked myself up. We are empowered them to take advantage of one of our nation's most dramatic tools, end quote. This is fabulous. I crack myself up sometimes. Do you do that? Like you just have a thought and you laugh at it? It's great to see Americans, though, raising their credit scores, and just goes to show you that that fourth stimulus check would help millions of people continue getting a handle on their credit scores, their credit, their finances, and the disaster relief would just help so many people. As you know, majority of Americans couldn't even afford a $400 bill, let alone so $1,400, if they just march along with their same lifestyle, $1,400 kind of clears up a few problems, doesn't it? Finally, we've got some amazing news about the great state of New York. The governor stepped down. No, that's old news. New York City will spend some of nearly $6 billion it received in disaster relief recovery funds from the Biden administration to provide financial assistance for, get this, artists, none other than taxi drivers, do they still have those? And homeless. Using funds from the American Rescue Plan, roughly 1,800 local artists across, of very ed disciplines who suffered financially will receive $5,000 stimulus checks. A lot of them, no place to perform, right? Like, where do you go? At least you can't get this way, right? So on a YouTube channel, how many people have caught from a YouTuber? I don't know, from watching YouTube. Have you? According to the press release, quote, small businesses are the backbone of the New York City neighborhood, and it's vital for these to thrive to ensure the equitability and recovery. So true. They depend on tourists to come watch their theatrical performance. You may not know this, but I'm actually in the Screen Actors Guild and the Equity Guild. I'm a thespian. Yes, a thespian. Yes. You're saying, what? What's a thespian? It's a theater person. Anyway, this is incredible news for all of my viewers in the Big Apple, and hopefully similar stimulus programs offer $5,000 for checks can be put in place in your neck of the woods for something that may be vital to your area. You should get with your politicians and tell them, say, this is the most vital part of our economy. Let's call it a lumber mill or a lumberjack or the lumber industry. If that's your industry in your neighborhood, the American Rescue Plan was supposed to rescue your neighborhood. So if you're in arts, like in New York, well, maybe you need to do that. If you're in a place that has lumber, maybe lumber's your thing. Whatever it is, maybe it's boats in Alaska. Although, I don't know how much they might have been affected. Well, I guess if they couldn't get crew to go on the boats, tight quarters, the whole bit, then help them out. But whatever it is, make sure your politicians know. Don't forget about the vital lifeline in your neck of the woods and what economy you count on. Your biggest hitters as far as your employers. Like in Michigan, one of the places I saw in a town that I was buying a golf course in, the biggest place was a pottery place that made, pots and plants. They probably would have been good because that was the biggest employer. So anyway, something to think about. That's your stimulus check, second stimulus check, third stimulus check, fourth stimulus check, and executive package. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking around to this point in the video. First, I appreciate you, and I'm humbled that you would stay this long. I really appreciate you guys. Please let me know if you guys, what topics you'd love to see on this channel. You'd love to